Welcome to part 2. I'm back, and as I was saying in my previous video, hopefully you watched that one first, I'm just talking about some of the books that I've read so far during the self-isolation for recreation. So that's what I'm talking about now. I described some of my novels for adults. They're mostly science fiction, Isaac Asimov, and one murder mystery from Diane, Mott, Davison. Now I'm going to describe the kid books that I've read during my isolation. Excuse me, I'm sorry. They're books I've read as a kid, and I really enjoyed, so I'm reading them again. I don't really read a lot of children's books or any children's books that weren't out when I was a child myself. So I still have the books I've read as a child, and I'll read them again sometime when I don't have a lot of time to read a full novel, but I want to read something, or I just want to go back to nostalgia. I liked a lot of old, like, kiddie mysteries and a couple kiddie science fiction novels, but a lot of my science fiction, like Isaac Asimov, I was reading even as a kid, because, I mean, the books are for adults, but they're not, I think a kid can understand them. Like, when I say kid, like, if you're over 8 or 9 years old, you can read you can read the book and comprehend the basic ideas of the book and enjoy it. But anyway, the mysteries, I didn't really read murder mysteries as a kid. I wasn't allowed to until I was older. Besides Agatha Christie, I actually did read them. But besides that, so I read, the murder mysteries, again, they're not violent, gory murder mysteries, but still, in the kiddie mysteries, they're just like things are stolen. If you read the old McQuirk mysteries from they're like elementary school level, primary school level, it's more, like, even they're more tricks than anything else. They're not even really even things that are stolen. But Trixie Belden is, like I said, kind of like a Nancy Drew character. She was actually, the series started in the 40s and ended in the 80s, so it just wasn't as popular as Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, so a lot of people don't know about it. But I like it better, honestly. And the Bobbsey Twins, I should explain this. There was a series of the Bobbsey Twins that most people know about that started in 1904 and ended in 1979. Those were just basically chapter stories of their day-to-day adventures, which I never really liked very much. But then in the 80s, they started a series by Wanderer, which was because I think Grosset and Dunlap was the first publisher. Wanderer wrote the second series, and they even call it a pre-Hardy Boys Nancy Drew book, so they were straight mysteries. And then in the late 80s, they actually made a book series called The New Bobbsey Twins, which are also mysteries, which I like even better. And I actually have the rights to the photographs taken of the models for those books. Now, the photo credits are not in the books because the photos were taken of the models, and then the artist made their drawings from the photos. So the artwork is credited to the artist, not to the photographer. But still, it's kind of cool seeing the photos. But anyway, going back to the books I'm reading, I'm sorry, getting off track here. So the first of the Bobbsey Twin mysteries that I'm reading is the Blue Poodle mystery. This one was okay. It wasn't one of my favorites even as a kid, honestly, but it was okay. The second one, and I would go into detail, if you want me to, I'll go into detail in the description or something, but I guess most people probably just, they're not going to care that much about these old books, so I'm not going to go into big detail. But this one especially, this is one of my favorites, The Secret in Pirate's Cave. It came out in 1980, which was also the year that my family went on vacation. Oh, I'm sorry, I should mention. So the storyline of the book is takes place in Bermuda. The Bobbseys go on vacation in Bermuda, and they solve a mystery. Now, in 1980, my family went on vacation to Bermuda. This is actually when I first learned of the Bobbsey Twins, because my brother read this to me on the plane, which was kind of neat because, it just came out, and we were going to Bermuda on the plane to Bermuda, and it's a story of a mystery of kids going to Bermuda. So it was kind of neat, and beyond that, I really liked the story. Even, again, I'm reading them now. They hold up. Now, granted, obviously, again, they're for kids, so it's not going to be a big, intricate mystery where you're going to be, totally blown by the denouement of the plot, but it's still very good for children, I think. Now, the third book I'm in the middle of reading, The Dune Buggy Mystery, and again, I've read all of these before, understand. I'm in the middle of reading them now, this one now. What I'll do is, I actually, I'll start a book, or start a series, and then then I'll drop it, but I'll start back where I left off, and then start a different series. For instance, now, if I'm in the mood, I'll read a kiddie book, then I'll go to an adult novel, then back to a kiddie book, so that's why you see bookmarks in a couple of these. So, I'm in the middle of the best mysteries of Isaac Asimov, but I mentioned that's an anthology, so I finished a couple of the short stories, well, half of the short stories, and I'm reading the other half now. And then again, going back to the Bobbsey Twins now, I'm in the middle of this one. When I decide to read a kid book again, I'll continue where I left off. But this one's okay. The thing I didn't realize about the Bobbsey Twins series, the Wanderer Bobbsey Twins series, is books 2 through 6 were actually reprints of a series from the 60s that stars a black family, which is very rare because most protagonists in the 60s in kids' books, or any books really, weren't African American, and these happen to be. So, and they're word for word, which actually explains a lot. I remember even thinking as a kid, at one point they bought, Freddie, the youngest Bobbsey boy, was given $2, and he bought 4 ice cream sundaes for him and his friends. And even in 1980, I was thinking, that's not really practical. I mean, I think that the sundaes when I was a kid were like 99 cents each, not 50 cents each. So knowing that they were written in the 60s originally makes more sense to me. But again, that's just something I only found out about the books being written in the 60s lately, but it explains something to me now. But again, people probably don't care. Okay, so the Trixie Belden books now. These I've read. I joined a Trixie Belden club where I joined it, but I left it right away. I thought people would be talking more about the books, but they're just kind of doing puzzles, which is fine. That's just not my thing. But anyway, I read these books during the time that we were on self-isolation. Again, part of the just part of the things I've been reading. So number 31, I was actually in the middle of it. So I wasn't in self-isolation when I began this one, but I was when I finished it. The Mystery at Maypenny's. This was okay. Again, I'd have to go into a detailed description of Trixie and her friends to explain the mysteries, because a lot of them take place in her hometown, which is a suburb of New York City, but kind of like maybe less than an hour from New York, but in the rural area. So not really a suburb of New York, actually. I guess just in a rural part of New York State. 32, The Mystery of the Whispering Witch. It's not really a witch. It's one of those stories where someone's trying to drive someone out of their mind, so they're pretending that they're a witch. It's a long story, but still, there's nothing like that in it. Number 33, The Mystery of the Vanishing Victim. This is actually my favorite one. This is one of my favorite ones of the Trixie Belden books that I've read. I mean, of these last 7 that I've read just recently. Number 34. Oh, I'm dropping this. Hold on. Okay. Number 34, The Mystery of the Missing Millionaire. This is another one that's one of my favorites. And, it's funny. I was talking about how, these books are really for kids. Don't expect anything really revealing, a real revelation. This one had it. Actually, I did not see the end coming here. I'm sure I read these books before, like I said, but we're talking years ago, so I didn't remember what happened. And actually, I remembered it after I finished it, I remembered it, and I remembered being surprised back in the day, and I'm surprised now. So, it was a pretty good mystery, honestly. Whoever wrote that, they did a good job at keeping the kids' book fresh in the sense of not being obvious as far as who the bad person is. And what their motive is, and actually the entire thing, I don't want to give it away. Well, I give it away. There actually is no missing million. Okay, there is the mystery of the missing millionaire. What happens is, the daughter of a millionaire. Trixie finds a wallet owned by. There's a couple $100 bills in it, at least $100 bill in it, and there's identification for a person who turns out that his daughter arrives and says that he's been kidnapped, and he's a millionaire and he's being held for ransom. It turns out that she's a con woman, a con girl, a con artist, and there is no millionaire. And she was after someone else, where she thought that even spending the couple $100 to put the $100 bills in there would be worth it, because they were going to con someone out of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it was a really good. I did not expect that. I didn't see that coming at all. It was really good. Okay, so 35, the Mystery of the Memorial Day Fire. I'm hoping you can see this. I don't know if it's focusing. It looks like it is. Yeah, this was a good one too. 36, The Mystery of the Antique Doll. The first half of this was good, and then it got kind of stupid. I didn't like it. I mean, I don't know. The first half was really good, but then it just kind of fell apart. And 37, The Pet Show Mystery. This one was okay as well. Now, I'm running out of time again, but I will tell you I'm also in the process of reading right now, as my adult novel, the one of the Jane Austen mystery series, which I think people might be interested in that. So I'm going to leave this for part 3, okay? So I'll see you in part 3.